afternoon, Clayton.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Matt.
It's been a few months since I've seen you.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last time I saw you was,
There were Christmas decorations up.
I was about to say, no, that's not true. That's not true. I dropped by your,
the birthday party.
Your porch
my
for,
freezing cold porch party.
Yeah. I think we both thought that this year was going to end up frigid because normally your birthday, as you said, is warm and we're out there freezing.
Yeah.
Drinking hair tonic. You were right. That Malort, it tastes like hairspray.
Yeah.
It's
something.
Yeah. And obviously you can tell I don't have much hair left. But I remember using hairspray as a kid and accidentally getting some in your mouth.
Yeah.
It taste lingers.
Yes.
And so you're absolutely right about that being exactly what that tastes like.
Hairspray and grapefruit peel and tire rubber.
Tire rubber. I know. And even on the box, it's like to share with your friends or enemies.
Right.
So what first, let's get this out of the way. Still, I'm looking back on it. What is the appeal of drinking that crap? You're the liquor guy. So
it's a bitter liqueur, and bitterness is fun and interesting.
Bitterness is fun. That's that should be my personal tagline. So, and then actually I did see you briefly after that, but I had a hot water tank go kaput. So I walked in, shook your hand, and walked back out. So the occasion of that party was not your birth date, but celebrating what ostensibly could have been your death date.
Right.
And that was a year to the day or very close to it?
Then it was a year to the, I think it might have been the day. I can't remember, but it was right there.
Okay.
One of those 2 days.
So you beat the odds.
Beat something.
Yeah. I mean, projections, some sort of.
I mean, yeah.
Schematic. Right.
Yeah.
But you're still going strong. Again, we're friends on the internet too.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to see all the trips you're taking. At this stage in the game, how's your energy levels?
I mean, right now it's okay. Last week it was nothing. It's just it's very daily. It's up and down all over the place.
Is there any way to predict that? Any indicators for you?
No.
So you could be on an island in a place where you don't speak the language, and this thing could wipe you out. And put you under the weather for an extended period.
Possibly.
Has any of that happened yet?
Yeah, a little.
Do go on.
When I was in Mexico in January, I got COVID, but I didn't really find out until I took a test and tested negative. But when I came back and went to a doctor's appointment, we did a scan, and the scan showed that I had COVID.
Okay. So how does that international travel work? Did they not test for that or keep you there?
No, I had a test with me. I knew I had a fever, a real slight fever, and that was it. So I took some aspirin and just went and did Mexico. I was just very tired. So I just went to bed really early and slept for like 14 hours. Not sick at all.
Right. But you had a negative test.
I had a negative test.
And then came back, and it turns out that, as in fact, at some point, you had been positive. So let me get this correct. You have not only exceeded your expiration date that doctors gave you, but you managed to still travel more than just about any human being I know. While you're away, you have COVID. And that still doesn't even stop you.
Sure.
So
Mexico alone
right.
Can't speak the language.
And then you were just recently in Cuba?
Uh-huh.
Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah, Cuba was fascinating. It's interesting to see the disparity between what we're told Cuba is like and what it's actually like.
That's what I'm curious about. And also, why Cuba?
I love cigars. That's the birthplace of the best cigars in the world come from there. So the best soil for cigars.
So you literally went to go smoke some cigars.
Pretty much.
Primarily. All right. Well, as you said, there's a disparity there.
See a little bit of an alternative economic system in action.
Yeah. one of the things I noticed most, it seemed like a snapshot out of time with the vehicles down there.
Yeah. There's some history about that, but it's kind of with the embargo, they can't get parts from the U.S., so they have to kind of create their own parts and keep them going.
So you just have all of these ancient cars down there.
But I saw some Volkswagen. I saw some newer Volkswagens and things like that. There was, because German company, a lot of little Russian cars driving around.
Okay. So you still get European vehicles down there.
Right.
Do you see Asian vehicles at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just basically America that still has this embargo. Yep. Okay. Well, again, as someone who
just us and trying to influence other countries, to limit their trade.
But that doesn't seem to be going over all that well.
It does. It hurts them some, but they can't get everything they want.
Gotcha. Well, tell me about some of these differences. Because again, being an American student.
So, free healthcare, free housing, free education through college, free pension. Trying to think what else, but pretty much, all your needs are taken free. Yeah, I said healthcare. So yeah, basically you get to retire if you're a woman at 60, if you're a man at 65. That's you continue. You don't have to work until you die. Basically,
that's very different.
Which is what people don't think about. It's fascinating because people ask me, like you did, "Are you still working?"
Right.
What else am I going to do?
I know. It really just comes down to your schedule.
Can you take off a month of work or 2 months or 6 months and just stop working and have all your needs taken care of?
Right.
No.
Right. Yeah.
Welcome up to America. It's not like that in Cuba.
Okay. But do you still have kind of a worker economy? Did everyone Everyone
was working and hustling and all that stuff. So a lot of hustle.
Okay.
There's a lot of money to be made off tourists, especially American tourists.
I was about to say, so basically they meet your baseline for survival, but everyone down there still wants to work because that's where you get.
Like there's no homeless in Cuba. Everyone's guaranteed a roof over their head. Now, some of the places are not that great, for public housing, but at least a roof is better than no roof.
That's certainly true. What was your situation? Were you down there in a hotel, I imagine?
No, we stayed at Airbnb.
Okay. So even that. I'm just trying to figure out how the Cuban economy functions.
So you can be an entrepreneur, you can do whatever, you just pay extra in tax, or you can work for the state.
Okay. And then
they seized most of the means of production. So they own the government owns the hotels and the beaches because it's everyone's property. So,
aside from that, like business as usual, as far as like culture,
restaurants and Airbnb and shops and whatever.
So everything you see of their socialized culture really is kind of behind the scenes, like.
Right.
It doesn't. You don't have like checkpoints and things like that.
We traveled from one high to the other, and there's just every now and then there's some cops sitting on the set. There's not like a set up checkpoint, but there's cops sitting on the road, and they'll just tell you to pull over and check your papers, and then let you go on.
Okay. So again, same thing you'd probably deal with heading south on I-35 far enough. Small border checkpoint. Well, compare that, again, an island to, you've also been in Mexico. And I, again, imagine a lot of this comes down to the fact that you like food. And I know you're a fan of tequila and mezcal. Yes. So was that the purpose of going down here? So
yeah, all those things are all, yeah.
So basically everywhere you're choosing is food and beverage based heretofore.
Usually, yeah.
All right, cool. Well, before we talk about your upcoming American trip, do you have any other bucket list trips out of country you're taking?
Tokyo or India.
Okay.
I haven't planned those yet, but those are in the distance.
Okay. When are you thinking about doing
Next year, hopefully.
Okay.
But those are both very big, expensive trips. So I got to plan those out a little bit more.
And so Tokyo itself.
Yeah.
All right. So it seems like Are your trips usually based around one location?
I prefer to go to, not necessarily. I did a German-Croatia trip last year.
That's what I was about to say.
At the time I found out.
Fair. All right. So
not always.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But your American trip.
Yes.
You're doing a westward mother road trip.
Yep.
Tell me about this and how it came up and why and where.
Oh, how it came up is my kids for last Christmas bought me tickets to Death Cab and the Postal Service reunion tour, and they picked Berkeley, California, because they wanted to go to San Francisco. And I'm like, okay, we'll do a San Francisco trip. And I just started thinking about it. I'm like, in March, as a company, we went on a trip that was we started in LA and then drove up some of the coastal highway, but not a ton of it because we had to go to wineries that were farther inland. So I was like, I haven't completed that part of the coastal highway, that stretch from LA to San Francisco completely. And Big Sur's in that.
Oh, yeah.
I've always wanted to see a Big Sur. So I'm just like, well, let's just if we're going to drive out there, if you're going to drive, anyway, just sound like a really cool thing to do.
Absolutely.
With my kids. So.
Well, you mentioned Big Sur. Is there any other reason? Or are you a Henry Miller, Jack Kerouac fan?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's Kerouac?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No one ever says Henry Miller when it's time to talk about Big Sur. Anyhow, so you guys are going out west. And again, I ended up looking this up. I was talking to David Egan from Cavalcade, actually, and he was talking. He has a friend who runs a magazine devoted entirely to Route 66 and things along the way. So I ended up looking that up, and some friends who I had mentioned that I went to Albuquerque with earlier this year.
Right.
They had also told me, you need to take this all the way out to California. And I didn't realize, some of the destinations along the way are a little strange. Like, what's the city in Arizona that it runs through?
Which one?
Well, I was about to say the larger one.
Flagstaff.
That's the one. Everyone tells me I'll love Flagstaff, and I don't know why. See, for obvious reasons.
I've driven about half this trip, probably, but not on purpose on Route 66. There's parts in Oklahoma where it's like purposely Route 66, and then once you get in California, it kind of goes all over. In parts of Arizona, it veers off from I-40.
Okay.
So I want to those parts are usually like the 2-lane roads that you're going through. They're really cool. And Flagstaff. So I've made it up to Flagstaff and then went up to Vegas and came back home from Vegas. But so I haven't been through California.
Okay, that's what I was about to say.
I've been through Death Valley, but up to Vegas.
Okay. See, that's the part that weirds me out, especially with the season still being as warm as it is, going through the desert. Again, you were...
Hopefully it will be much cooler.
I mean, that was the thought, right?
Yeah, right?
I mean,
hopefully in October it will be cooler.
I know. That's what I thought. Like, Halloween's going to hit different if the pool's still open.
Right.
During the day. It's getting a little out of hand. So... But again, that's veering north. So west of Flagstaff on Route 66. Have you seen any of that yet?
No, never.
Okay. So what do you have planned out there? Because again, I don't
really know. We're going to have to figure that part out on the way. So,
okay.
Depending on how much time we have and stuff. There's some little town stops along there. And then I'm going to probably try to go around LA and not... through LA and just get to the pier and then get on the highway and start going north.
So what are you saying, man? You don't want to experience LA traffic?
No.
Have you ever driven through LA?
Kind of, sort of. Like from the airport out to Coachella.
Okay.
I think, to Indio. That's about it.
See, I've never been to LA. And so that's all I hear about that is it's a traffic nightmare and it can
be
an hour to get a mile. And I'm like, well, then why do you do it? Surely there's another way around, but apparently in that town there's not. So you're avoiding that entirely.
Trying to.
Where is the terminus of Route 66?
Santa Monica Pier.
Okay. So, I mean, you have to at least drive out there.
You got to drive out there, walk out on the pier to the edge, Okay, we made it. That's the end.
Absolutely. and then you're heading all the way up to San Francisco.
Yep.
So, and then after those shows, what's the trip back? Are you going to
fly back? We fly back. So.
Oh, okay. So I'm guessing you're renting a car?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
All right. Where are you going after that? I'm just living vicariously.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to really
man.
go too many places after that. It gets real busy for me in November and December with my job. So I'll probably chill out. My cousin's going to Lima, Peru during the Christmas holidays. I may go join him and his wife there. She's from there. So that would be a great experience just to kind of go down there and experience it through locals' eyes.
Yeah. Peru, Lima, Peru. That's all I know about that is honestly kind of reflected through ancient history and the,
Machu Picchu.
I was about to say the architecture really more than even the culture.
Yeah.
So what is it that they're planning on doing, and what is it that you might jump
there's
on
beach,
board?
because it'll be wintertime here. It'll be summertime there. So lots of beach time and going to the going to the cool restaurants and that sort of thing. Just food and drink.
I was about to say more of that, because that's more of a kind of a seafood based
probably
culture or food culture anyway. Okay. That makes sense. All right, now circling back to everything that's happened here in America. Again, it's now been over a year when we wrote the story for Oklahoma Gazette, or when Ryan began the story for Oklahoma Gazette. We did it during the warm months, and then again, as we had discussed, everyone and their brother kind of jumped on board to write about that event. And so, I put the brakes on it. Well, let's flesh this one out a little bit, take some time. And then you and I ended up meeting at Pony Boy and continuing our conversation, which was long and meandering. And here you are. I mean, we're coming in close. Was that December or January when we met?
December for that.
I was about to say, I felt like it was before Christmas.
Yep.
And, there was a lot of uncertainty then as far as how...
I had just started taking the medication, had no idea if it was working or not. So,
and from your post, it sounds like...
And at that time, it wasn't. At that time, there were no side effects. Those came later.
Okay. So...
like spring and summer.
But it seems like, according to the Facebook post you made a couple of weeks ago, that these things seem to be working and helping.
Yeah. They at least hit the pause button on the cancer.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's no delicate way to discuss this as we've talked about before. So let's jump right in.
Okay.
You seem to be almost exactly, as a matter of fact, I think when I met you last winter, you were getting over some sort of cold or something like that. So
Which I didn't get over for quite a while.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that. But even then, my point is back then you had this slight cough and, oh my God, is this it? Is this going to be what takes him down? And here you are a year later and you seem almost exactly the same as you did when we first met. So I guess we kind of dived into everything surrounding the confrontation with death last year. But now here you are, you're about to make a cross-country road trip, which is something that people with a full tank, no pun intended, don't normally, it's exhausting on its own. You have traveled around this continent. You've been off pond jumping. You're probably going to the southern hemisphere next.
Yeah.
And then off to potentially Asia spring of next year. What's that mentally been like to basically have this diagnosis, this sort of Damocles hanging over you, and for you to actually be doing so well this far along?
It just means I get to do more shit.
Right.
That's
philosophically or existentially, like, has it weighed on you in any sort of way?
Oh, sure. It does sometimes.
Yeah. So again,
I think leaning back and enjoying the ride has been kind of an easier way to deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's, if someone had told me I had this amount of days, and now I know we were talking, and it was a kind of melancholy moment when we were talking about how it might end up being your last Christmas.
Right.
And here you are. You look like you're standing about the same weight.
No.
I was about to say.
I lost 30 pounds.
30?
Yeah, muscle and everything.
Okay. Well, then you're just shrinking because you seem...
Yes.
shrinking all over, because you seem like you're carrying it about the same way.
Yeah.
Do you think any of that actually has to do with the fact that your ass has been all over the world and staying
possibly.
busy? Yeah. So muscle loss, maybe not.
No, that's from, it makes me not want to eat sometimes. So I can go for days or weeks and not want to eat anything.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, again, whenever I met you, your appetites were voracious.
Yeah.
So is that a side effect of the medication or the illness?
It's a side effect of the medication.
Okay. So here you are. This is actually causing some sort of shrinkage, but again, one of the things that we discussed keeping you going is powering you with a bunch of protein.
Yep.
Maybe not alcohol. Maybe your doctor's not so keen on that.
Alcohol and the medicine don't really play well together.
Do they not? Does that?
I still drink, but
not as robustly as you once did.
I can't.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. At this stage,
I still can't. I mean, I still do sometimes, but anyway, I think what this medicine's doing to my liver and what the alcohol's doing to my liver are not getting along real well.
Yeah, you end up kind of doubling down on everything and burning the candle at both ends.
Uh-huh.
Fair. Well, you're still going to these places that, again, obviously a rich food culture. Do you just have to force yourself to eat at this point?
Sometimes it's, I've got lots of tricks. I've got medicine that helps, tries to get rid of the nausea. Weed helps get rid of the nausea. So, just trying to learn how to eat and around my illness, I guess, or my side effects.
So the cannabis regimen, as we talked, you're taking hero doses of edibles now on some nights, apparently. Did you already have a tolerance for these things, or
no?
Okay. Is it a tolerance that you're developing, or is that just what's needed to?
It's tolerance.
Okay. What did you start with? Because I remember when I
started tiny stuff.
I was about to say
5 milligrams, 5 or 10, and now it's like 50 to 100.
50 to 100. That's a hell of a range. I mean, 5 to 50, we're already talking 10 times what you used to do. And now you're like, well, maybe we'll just go for 100.
Right.
What's the distinction? Like, are you taking the larger dosages just for the hell of it? Or
if I want to just I'm going to get high, why not? So then it's 100. Otherwise it's 25 or 50. And then that's just not feeling anything.
Okay. All right. Do you do this at all during the day, or these are all nighttime?
It depends. Just totally depends.
Okay. And another thing we had talked about was some experimentation with psychedelics.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still ongoing?
Mushrooms, yeah.
Okay. You haven't branched out? No other food groups yet?
I'm going to try ayahuasca and peyote soon, and trying to do some other stuff.
Tell me about
Just
this.
Got to have time.
Yeah.
I don't have that much time to
right.
completely check out from everything.
And in order to do those properly, those are excursions. Those aren't just, little bits of partying.
Right.
Those are full on. Now, again, without triggering the interest of maybe the authorities. I'm just kidding. No one's going to actually care. Are you doing these? Are you planning on doing peyote and ayahuasca in some sort of kind of natural environment with some sort of guide?
Yep.
Okay. So you're not, again, this isn't one of these, we're ordering things from the internet and having them delivered kind of situations. You're going to take them as culturally intended.
Right.
Why those two?
I've just heard a lot of good things about them.
Okay. In particular, why would you want to do something as intense as both of those whenever you've already physically are dealing with so much at once?
I just those open up like so many different pathways in your brain and get in there and work on stuff and that's pretty cool.
Word. Elaborate on this. You're a thoughtful, erudite man. So I'm like, I'm not gonna let this one go because there are strong reasons why you want to do both of these, and I'm curious to hear them from your perspective.
I've been told to take them together.
Okay.
As part of the ceremony.
Holy shit.
I have no idea. Not at the same time, but but one and then something. So there's others too that I don't even know that much about. So I definitely want the more intense version of that, you know. I don't know, mushrooms are okay, but not too, they don't quite get you all the way there. This kind of forces you, from what I see, like this forces you.
So you're definitely looking to push beyond with this. Okay. What is it that
it's a forced it's a, I don't, well, maybe not, because sometimes it doesn't work on people. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But like you said, you know, with psilocybin, even if you take enormous doses, you'll have some sort of effect, but it's not necessarily just complete loss of self.
Yeah.
Which it seems like that's what you're pushing through.
Yeah. Right.
So again, what is it about that experience that
just seems like the right thing to do?
Word.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel very, very compelled to do those things.
Okay.
I did some psychedelics when I was younger as a party or whatever, but this feels more like opening up memories and things like that. Like it's works in your brain and just opens up pathways to different things.
Okay. So you're in it for the deep dive.
Yeah.
All right. So a double dose of peyote and ayahuasca.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still taking adventures in psilocybin? Or?
Yes. Yeah. Did one over the weekend. Accidentally did one with my son about a month ago.
How do you accidentally take a trip?
We were going to do microdose. It was his birthday. We were going to do a microdose. And then, 40 minutes later, I'm like, I don't feel a damn thing. And then, so we ate a whole piece of a mushroom each. And then another 45 minutes later, still feel nothing. So we ate another one. Then like 30 minutes after that, and now it's been like 2.5, it's been like an hour and a half or something, which is just very strange to have it, whatever. And all of a sudden he's like, hey, the lines on I think it's starting to finally do something. The lines on the chair. I'm like, well, that's not a microdose. We're in it now.
Yeah. I was about to say, I thought the nature of a microdose was you don't feel it.
You don't experience hallucinations.
So that ended up being a full bore.
Oh yeah, it was intense.
How much did you end up consuming?
I have no idea. No idea.
Again, microdose, I don't think you're supposed to feel. So if you're like, I'm not feeling it, I get that. I think
it should make you feel a little happy or something. I should feel a little.
Right. Is that something? Are you?
The earth is vibing or something.
Yeah. Are you just microdosing generally speaking?
No, I've done it about 3 or 4 times, just macro. I said one accidentally, maybe 5 times since we talked last time.
Yeah, I know that you were just kind of starting that. I wouldn't say regimen, but you were starting to experimenting.
Yeah.
And so I'm always curious, and I know if people watch these episodes, I've mentioned there's been a mention of psychedelics 3 or 4 times, so it makes it sound like it's something I've done. To be fair, I have not really done psychedelic excursions like I used to. I've had a one-off here and there, but not like I used to. So I know I think when I talk about it, it sounds like I've just been going on these deep dives myself. Right. I haven't been, but I've been very fascinated in kind of the zeitgeist that's gone with that in these last few years. Mm. You know, people are looking at it to treat depression and PTSD and all of these things. So I'm very curious, like what each individual who's taken them, kind of some of the revelations.
It's revelations. There's always some kind of message involved or whatever that comes through. It's usually very simple and duh.
And that's what I've always loved about it.
Right.
It's very forest for the trees.
Right.
So do go on, because those are what I like. And I think that's why I like talking about it, because I'm not necessarily in the mode or mood to take a bunch of psychedelics myself. But I am curious about hearing other people's stories and living vicariously through them.
Yeah, it's just, another trip to learn some more things. Just, taking, just checking, checking out for a little while. So
some of these simple things that you've learned. Again, I know you're a student of philosophy as well. I know that you're a broad and deep reader. So
the first couple times I did it, I was really struggling with being faced with death. Mm-hmm. That there's a definite road that everyone's on, the path of the living, and that's where you just don't worry about death at all, and we're making future plans, like we do, and we just are kind of just doing our thing and living life or whatever, going to work and all the boring stuff. And then there's the path of the dying, and that's where you stop making plans, start being aware that that's not, there's no need to keep working for the future.
Sure.
Because the future is pretty short. And so I was really struggling between what's the right way to walk this? And it was kind of just like, stop worrying about it and just kick back and relax and just enjoy whatever happens. It doesn't matter when you die.
Sure. Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter. Don't change what you're doing, because I'm sitting there trying to figure out what to do with my day. Do I work? Do I not work? What am I supposed to do? No idea. And then, so it helped a lot.
Okay. So, but did you always travel like this?
Not to this intensity, no.
Gotcha.
I turned up the volume pretty high.
I was about to say, it seems like what would have been a once a year kind of trip, you're now doing once a month or quarterly.
Right.
Okay.
And I, got my passport back. It would have been 2 years ago. I finally got my passport back. So I hadn't had it even for a while. So I wasn't traveling outside of the country at all for a while.
Okay.
Part of that was a pandemic, but.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In retrospect, going back on that all kicked off now 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
It really, there's that weird amorphous time where for a year, it almost felt like time stood still, but also went incredibly quickly.
Yes.
And now, through the recovery phase, because we're all so uncertain, and the economics of everything was very topsy-turvy. Not that the economics have gotten better, but
right.
Back then it was like some sort of I don't know, it was operating between people in abject fear and then like a woo girl society. Where I, for example, who hadn't been out for like a year, I just went absolutely nuts and was out everywhere all of the time.
Yep.
But yeah, now fast forward through all that, we're 3.5 years out from it. And it just, I don't know, it feels very much like a fever dream to me. Your diagnosis kind of came in all of the middle of this.
came at the tail end. So right before I got this cancer right before the pandemic, and I just finished radiation and everything right at the tail end there. So I was just recovering from that. And then 2 years later, probably not even 2 years, is when I got the reoccurrence.
Okay.
That it came back.
Okay.
So that was 2019 when I stopped treatment, and so it was 2021. So it was just at the tail end of where it, like, oh my God, we survived this fucking time.
Right. and that's what I was trying to figure out is like some of these trips that you have, were these things that were delayed from before, or are these all fresh?
These are all pretty fresh.
Otherwise have taken.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I found out about this second reoccurrence, I had already planned this trip to Croatia and Germany, and that was something I was going to do on my birthday a year or two before. I think it was in 2020. I was planning on doing that for my 50th birthday, and then the pandemic shut everything down, so I couldn't do it. So I kind of went and did that trip right at that time, and just happened to find out like literally the week before the trip, It was a little somber note. I was with a friend on the trip. It was a little somber.
Yeah.
It was a very bizarre trip. It's like, oh, hey, cancer's back. You can't cure it at all. Tough shit. And all right, let's go on this.
Let's get on a plane.
Yeah.
What was that like being in, your whole internal landscape shifted.
Yeah.
Your
completely
your whole heuristic of, again, what you had said about the way you were living your life. And now you're in a foreign land having to.
I just had to put it all down and ignore it and just go enjoy what I was seeing while I was there. And then when I got back, I had to start dealing with it.
Fair.
Pretty hardcore.
And as a brief aside here, Croatia. That is a weird ass, like, I get it, Germany, everyone wants to do Germany, Bavaria. Again, food and drink culture.
Yeah.
But why Croatia?
Wine.
Places. Wine. That's right. We've had this conversation.
Yeah.
As a
lots
matter
of
fact,
wine.
You have made me, try some of these Eastern European wines.
Yeah.
And one of them, I remember we had a conversation about it afterwards that I tried. It was,
oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a little earthy, but then there was that one, I want to say September
7th.
That one. That is the wine that sticks with me.
Mm-hmm.
So you do know something about wine, even someone jaded, like me, who doesn't really know the difference between, I don't know, Sutter Home or whatever it's called, Behringer.
But you know when it's good.
Yeah, exactly. And you have a bottle
you do
like
know
that,
the difference,
it changes.
See?
Right. I'm just not thinking. I'm just like, oh, it's a red wine. All right, here we go. But yeah, then there are things. So there's those subtle differences. So what is it about Croatian wine that sets it apart?
I don't know. It's a fairly cool region. Most of the grapes there are native to Croatia. There's just grapes I've never heard of or experienced, and so it's just cool to go find out what those are like and see how it fits in their food culture and see how they live. Most places make wine to go with the food that's there.
Okay. Well, I remember September 7th is Hungarian.
Hungarian,
yeah. Okay. Is similarities and differences between Hungarian and Croatian wines?
There's similar in climate to some degree. It's just about where it's located. Slovenia is kind of close to like where Italy meets the sea there. And then you've got the Alps right behind it. So they've got this sort of mountainous / coastal continental climate thing going on, whereas Croatia is almost all coastal, but they have some stuff farther back in the country that's a little bit more continental as well. So it's just different grapes doing different things.
Seeing this is, I know it's a stupid little aside, but it's, kind of your world. Just meeting you and trying these different wines. I would use the word subjected me to malort, but aside from that, I've got a chance to experience some wines with you, and that this has really created a new perspective for me. So mission accomplished. I know that this is kind of your job and what you do. And so you're actually really good at it. So that being said, as things have gone along, and you can't drink to the level that you may be accustomed or wish you could, how has that kind of influenced your social life and your work life?
Oh, I don't know that it's influenced that. I mean, I got back. A lot of people wanted to do some stuff earlier last week, and I just didn't feel well enough to do hardly anything. What influences in that way is I don't have as much time and energy as I would like to. But that's also a good thing sometimes.
Sure.
I would also be gone out every night.
Yeah, I was about to say during the period where
I might actually hurt myself in other ways. So.
During that period where we met, it was like your schedule was as if not more hectic than mine.
Yeah. It was,
so, stopping and taking a.
So I feel good. I get to go out a lot. Basically, my boss is like, "You need to slow down." I'm like, "I'm not slowing down. I'm going to go as hard as I can as long as I feel good, and then I'll just take a break when I feel bad and just keep doing it that way, up and down." Seems to work better than trying to keep some sort of even. I don't know.
Yeah, instead of trying to plan it.
Well, I mean, I still might feel bad if I just try and even things out, or
right.
I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet.
Right. I mean,
if any of us really,
that's what I was about to say. I'm like, I still have that problem every week of every year. So I don't know if you'll get there, but kind of circling back to what you were saying about, just kind of living it. I mean, everyone does this. What would you do if you knew this was your last week or month or whatever? How has that changed anything that you would live other than maybe exacerbated the timeline of travel?
I would say I'm more open to the just whatever just appears in front of me. So it's a new friendship or a new experience or new whatever. And if it's just something like, I'm just going to, it's not that like going back and forth. Should I do this or should I? No, I should fucking do it right now.
Yeah. So really just grabbing, less thinking, more doing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Because even though, half of our relationship has become, of some sort of professional level, in one way I wanted to do this story in a way that I felt was all encompassing. And then when we started doing this podcast, I'd been kind of waiting, watching. Again, I know it sounds creepy. I've been lying in wait, watching your schedule. But I knew your hectic travel schedule. And of course, you can kind of read between the lines there as far as your traffic or activity in between and kind of gauge your activity levels. So I was kind of waiting for an update. And once you gave one, I was like, okay. I really should reach down because I don't know. Has anyone sat down with you on camera and had a conversation?
On camera.
Exactly.
Dave Cathy sat down. We talked today, but I don't know what its purpose. I don't know if I'm on the record or off the record. How's that?
There you go. Well, Dave, again, we're kind of similar people in that we just like to sit down and talk.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't necessarily have to go anywhere.
Right.
But this same kind of conversation where it's like, instead of something being fleshed out, there being a logical conclusion or a purpose for this conversation. It's one thing to try to like write someone and paint a picture of them. And so I was like, well, why don't we just have you sit down here and people who have read about you over the course of the past year actually just get a chance to see what you're actually like.
Sure. That's good.
So thanks for being here and doing this. We're not done yet, but I just wanted to say thank you because it was, again, one of these things that you've been so public and open and transparent about your journey that, again, I felt like it would be doing a disservice not to actually get you down sitting here and people could see what it is you're actually like on a day-to-day. So that being said, what are your upcoming plans here locally? I know that you're socially all over the place around here. And so kind of what I like doing is stalking your schedule a little bit and seeing all of the things that you're doing. Oklahoma City, it's hard to ever tell if you're on an upswing or a downswing in this town because everything just kind of goes all over. What are the things going on here locally right now that you're most interested in?
Well, if I hadn't felt weird this weekend, I would have gone to the Uptown whatever outside thing. That looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah. I didn't go this year, but I went to the one last year.
Yeah.
And
I went to the one last year. It was great.
Exactly. It was awesome. And hilariously enough, I feel like they moved that to the fall months, so it'd be cooler.
Yeah.
Than have to be like
90 something. Yeah. It was crazy hot. I know. That's why I didn't go. I was like, I don't want to sweat.
That was my thing as well. I was just like,
last year it was so nice out. It was like, one of those perfect days that we have. One of the 5 that we get.
I know. And that was like in the middle of July too. And it just happened to be like a little overcast, like 80. Again,
right.
Best laid plans of mice and men, right? You do it in July going, oh, it's going to be hot. It ends up being like an 85 degree day with just enough rain to keep it calm. Put it the 3rd week of September and then beating heat records. Right. Okay. So aside from that, Uptown in general, I feel like you and I may have passed in the night prior at somewhere like Bunker.
Possibly.
Would that be correct?
Yeah.
Are you a Bunker Club kid?
Oh, not all the time, but I'm go there occasionally.
Are you prone to any particular district in this city, or are you just kind of...
No.
I mean, that's what I was about to say. I'm like trying to imagine you being a regular isn't really...
Yeah, because I don't really... my job is to go see all the restaurants. So.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is I feel like you go everywhere with about the same frequency. Like you're never locked into one particular place.
No, it's usually different a lot.
Okay. And that's always been the same. This isn't drink as broadly and deeply as we can kind of thing. You've always just been kind of use a cliche term, more of a social butterfly.
Oh gosh, no.
And by that I mean you're just there's no fidelity to one place. You're not a Cheers kind of guy. Right. You're more of a bar crawl kind of guy.
Yeah. Like I said, it's my job, so
yeah.
I gotta go see what everyone's doing.
Well, but aside from restaurants, did you go out and do these kind of things before?
Not really. I
was about to say this is back because let's talk about some of the things that you have done.
Like I was raising kids and...
Right. And then you had a radio show for a long time.
I had a radio show and I didn't go out.
Let's talk. How does one get into radio?
Do you want to know how... This is a funny story.
Yes.
I was on Twitter and there was like a whole Twitter thing back then, it was a core group of people in OKC who were all connected and doing networking events. And so one day, just out of the blue, I would on Twitter, I'd post a lot of music I was listening to, things like that. And so Ferris just reaches out to me one day and says, "Hey, do you want to do this? I've just seen this, or I just got sent this show out of California. It's like a wine and music pairing show." He goes, "I'd really like to keep," I said, "I'm doing more shows and I'd like to keep it local, but I think I would," he said, "Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Yeah." Yeah. Okay. Always wanted to do a radio show. So, and then I had to figure out how to pair music and wine, what that looks like. I read everything I could get my hands on, and which wasn't very much. And there's like one scientific article written on it, I think. And
do go on.
Yeah. What? I was like, no, there's a lot of, in the science magazines or whatever, the pop sci magazines, there's a lot of articles about being able to pair music and wine together, that music can change the way that wine tastes and smells.
Really?
Yes. And so I started experimenting with that, and it does do that.
No kidding.
And it's weird.
Yeah. Can you give me some brief example?
Yeah, let me, trying to think, in the very beginning, I did this one thing that was pretty cool. It was like Pinot Grigio or something. Pinot Grigios are very light, high acid wine. And I always felt like it smelled and tasted better if I was playing like country or bluegrass music. Punk rock also seemed to kind of work. It's just got this high note to it. It's just all acid. And then you play something like rock and roll or whatever, and it just makes the wine flat, goes away. Had it where it did a thing with a bunch of Merlot and a Zinfandel, I think I had one day. And so started playing. I just had a song. I was just throwing songs into a playlist. Like I don't have any idea what the hell's going on. And so I was tasting, like I had Merlots from all over the world. I think I had like a French one and a California and I don't remember where else. But anyway, some different parts of the world like Argentina. And so I'd find a song, I think for Merlot, one of them was Mumford & Sons. It worked really well with Merlot for whatever reason. So smell the wine, smell them all, and then play the music and smell them and taste them all. And they tasted better with Mumford & Sons playing than without. But then I went to the Zinfandel and would try the Zinfandel, and it tasted like shit. Like it completely gave it a metallic taste. Like I tried it before this, music with the other wines, which it tastes good. It's a good wine. And then I tried it with the music and it just completely altered the taste of the wine.
That is wild to me.
Yeah.
And the fact that there are actual studies or articles devoted to this.
Yeah.
What's the theory behind?
They don't really know why. I would say you're probably turning like different kinds of tones, probably turn on and off receptors in your tongue and your nose.
Makes sense. It seems like a version of that.
Certain vibrations maybe, or certain frequencies can turn those things on and off, possibly.
That makes sense. I saw this as a meme I'd seen a million times before, but it just ended up back in my feed this weekend. Where it's all these plates are upside down, but whenever you look and you find the one that's right, like right side up, then seeing all the plates again, they're all.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. So I feel like it's the same thing where
it's some kind of evolutionary advantage it gives us,
yeah.
But who knows why.
Exactly. But I mean, it's one of those things that I've always been a binary perception guy, But whenever you start thinking about that, it's like, okay, well, even though you can see these things, how you see them completely changes. It's like the old, speaking of old memes, you mentioned Mumford & Sons, all these 10-year-old internet tropes are coming back to me. But that goddamn dress, whether it was white and gold or blue and something or another, I've seen it as both.
Yeah, same.
And so it makes me wonder, and this is why, you start thinking about things like eyewitness testimony and someone who was convicted of a crime, and you're like, well, all it hinges on is this person who was like, I saw this happen.
Right.
And again, there's a difference between optical illusions, which that you're intentionally breaking your brain, but then there are things that you perceive one way, and then something changes, and who knows exactly what the stimulus is.
I think your brain just fills in all the extra information because it's just trying to figure out. Doesn't take in all the information because it's shocking or whatever, and it just fills in the rest into a narrative and to help you cope with it.
Right. But again,
it's not actual. It's not actually what happened.
Right, exactly. And so now I kind of wonder, when you start thinking about different versions of events or what people saw or things that you swore happened in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with this Mandela effect. I have to ask the question. I've been asking this of everyone recently because of this precise dealing with perception. The Fruit of the Loom logo. Are you familiar with this one?
No.
Okay, but you grew up in this country during this era, so Fruit of the Loom.
Yes.
What did the logo look like?
Had fruit on it.
Right.
Apple and grape and grapes. And I can't remember what else.
And that's all you remember?
Yeah.
Was there or was there not a cornucopia that these fruits were spilling out of?
Yeah.
There was?
Yeah.
There was never a cornucopia. I know.
Okay.
I know. But you remember the cornucopia, right? Apparently this never existed. I don't know. This is why I keep asking, because everyone remembers things the same. And I have like strong sense memories.
Yeah.
Of like, again, you're a little kid. So things that are around you.
What about the commercials with the guys in the fruit costume? Were they ever in a cornucopia?
I don't.
She should be able to verify this.
This is the thing. There's so much. Even the company has come out and been like, there's no cornucopia. There never has been. But that's my point, is so many people have this like strong memory. So again, this fits into another conspiracy theory or what have you, that we've somehow tripped into another dimension somewhere along the way.
Right.
Because I feel like somewhere in 2016, nothing felt the same anymore at all. We all feel like strangers in a strange land now. So,
what is it? The Hadron Collider that was switched on in 2016? Yeah. They're like, oh no, couldn't have possibly done that.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I was like, I remember them talking about setting this thing up and me going, well, I'm not a conspiracy theorist and I'm not really into like doomsday scenarios, and they turned it on. I'm like, oh yeah, nothing happened. What did we expect would happen?
Right.
And then now there's no cornucopia. Donald Trump became president. Everything has just gotten insanely bizarre. And now, to the point where even our government is admitting that UFOs are real.
Right.
And now we're taking psychedelics for depression and PTSD. And I'm like, yeah, we have just gone off the rails somewhere in the cosmos here. So anyway,
it's pretty good though.
I'm
down for it.
Yeah, I was about to say it's definitely been a strange and wild diversion
since 2016. It's just been.
I know. Then we've just completely changed course.
Yeah.
And again, you never know. It's like you said, saying yes to more things and embracing it. Same thing with meeting you. I could have gladly just run Ryan's story on its own, but I'm very glad that I was like, no, I think we should take this a little further. And here we are almost a year later doing this. So again, Clayton, I appreciate you being here. And again, I appreciate you being so straightforward with everything about everything you're experiencing. And at the course it's going, same time next year.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Thanks, Clayton.
All right.